These products come from farms and ranches despite distance and season. They are the result of a miraculous agriculture. Tremendous advances on the farm and in the marketing system have created this miracle. The miracle whereby American agriculture has advanced more in the space of a single lifetime than world agriculture had in more than 7,000 years.
Memory of being out on the farm, out doing stuff, when I was 3. And that was, we actually had pigs that were for our own food, for our own table. When I was young and we still had the dairy farm was the sole family income. Nobody else worked off of the farm to bring any income in. And dairy farming was a good income maker for a rural family at that point. Now things started changing, and this is, I think, the thing that speaks of the demise of family farms. There have been 2 or 3 government buyouts of dairy farms, and it's because they wanted to keep the price of milk at a certain price, and also because corporations started coming in and wanting to have a bigger role in it. So my father's dairy farm, he chose to sell out. He went into grain production and beef cows. That worked for a decade or so, and then that became industrialized also. Once the industrialization of beef started, he was no longer able to compete as a small farmer. He couldn't take his cows off anywhere and sell them and get a good enough price to cover his cost of producing them. So, stubborn as he was, he still thought he could make a living farming. And at that point, he built 6 lakes on this farm for catfish farming. You know, getting in at the beginning of catfish farming, there was a learning curve, but then he got to where he was making fairly decent money doing that for a small-scale farm. And lo and behold, about a decade later, that became industrialized. All of those things that are done to make farming much more efficient are also things that are taking the ability of small family farmers to earn money, to earn a living. So the way industrial agriculture makes sense is that it is making the food production more efficient, but in fact what it's doing is it's creating a whole bunch of external cost, such as health care, environmental cleanup, and those kinds of things. Really, if they were added to the front end of the cost of producing that food, then we would be able to see this is not efficient at all. It's a snazzy looking industrial model, but it's not efficient at all.
When you have experiences like I have working on large-scale farms in Monterey County, California, 15,000 acres that produce just peppers, bell peppers, and their interstate highways go and divide these tracts up. They're so large. I mean, the scale of it is amazing, man. And I worked the chemical shed, all the chemical amendments. That was my job. It was a 32,000 square foot barn out in the middle of nowhere. Not even the migrant housing was near this. That's how dangerous this stuff is. And in California, if it's going to be used or consumed in California, anything that's cancer causing has to be labeled so. In this chemical shed, you see at least 75% of the amendments that were put on the food, that goes to 82% of the food in the whole United States says known to the state of California to cause cancer and reproductive harm. And we put that on the food, you know. And then that runs off into these ditches and then runs off into our water supply, you know, via the water table and estuaries and then into the ocean. So the ocean's food supply is contaminated, and then the marsh birds and animal creatures are all contaminated, and their offspring and the habitat they live in. And our water table, the very source of life, is contaminated with this.
When we look at organic foods, we are looking at foods that are produced naturally, so there are no added chemicals, whether in terms of fertilizer or in terms of pesticide, you know, where they would spray to prevent bugs and all that. The literature has clearly shown that organic food tend to be, the nutrient content is higher than the traditional way farming is done, where fertilizer added pesticides. A number of studies have also shown that certain of these foods you can find different levels of residue of these pesticides that are used for spraying or as fertilizer. So I think that there's a clear line of demarcation in terms of your organic food would probably be a better choice.
With the little organic, and when you buy something that has not traveled and it's fresher, it's got more nutrition, you should pay more because it's a better product. And you know, food is something you really get what you pay for. You go to McDonald's, you buy a Happy Meal or whatever, and it doesn't cost anything because it's not worth anything. I mean, they should pay you to eat it because it's so bad for you.
Well, the biggest advantage for us in using local ingredients, local farmers, is that you're guaranteed, first of all, that everything is seasonal, and also another advantage is that you tend to get farmers who take their ingredients and their farming really seriously. So the quality of the products that they bring you tends to be a lot better, because from the restaurants that I've worked at in town here, people respect restaurants that they know are getting things from local farmers. So it's good for cooking because you don't have to do as much to the ingredients, because they just kind of taste more like they're supposed to taste, I think. So it makes it interesting for a restaurant because you have to learn how to kind of just respect the ingredients and not do a whole lot to them just to bring out the flavors of the ingredients that are already there.
One of the reasons that we support local farms and local markets is because we strive on quality. Quality, the best of the best. What's the best? The best thing you're going to get as far as produce goes is the produce that was made right up the street or in local Alabama farms. It's always fresher, it tastes better, and people tell us that.
I just love the natural foods and the no preservatives, just comes out, no spraying, and I just like the way it grows.
Small-scale organic farms are expanding and growing faster than any other ag sector. It just turns out that the public now is getting aware of the kinds of things that are in their food at the grocery store.
We are constantly asking for improved, better food. Everybody's getting sick, everybody's getting overweight, it's just so much problem, and it's all, a lot of it, not all, not say it's all, but a lot of it could be related back to the diet. So I think it's, as I say, it's a niche market, and I think it would be a real economic boost for Alabama farmers.
It's got Salad Express on it, and it's really nice and colorful, and it says, packaged in Monterey County, California, Salinas, California, and it looks great, and it's sealed up, and it's clean as a whistle, but it still has E. coli in there. People are really starting to become wary of all that slick packaging and everything, and they really want to know who's doing it, where they're doing it, and how they're doing it, and that's sustainable in small farms. That's where the role that we're going to come in to play in the next 10 to 20 years. And I think it's a really exciting time. I'm just really ecstatic to be part of it. I love it.